So we're gonna get everything going with what we've been playing. Thomas, what are you up to?
I've been playing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I've been playing a Darkest Dungeon. I picked that up a little bit. Got pretty frustrated, but I do like that game. I'm excited for the second one, and that's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. I really am excited for the second one. I kickstarted the board game and all that. It's a good game that I wish they would just like upkeep a little bit because the UI on the PlayStation not great, not great. Um, which really is a shame. I like that game a lot. But I played that. I've been working on Control for a while. I'm gonna save most of my discussion about that until I'm closer to the end of the game. But boy, Control was a game that was made for me in so many ways. The combat's great. The traversal, it feels so mobile. I love as soon as I was able to move around as my character in the game, you have full mobility. You can sprint, run, jump, do all this stuff, and it just feels like you can go anywhere. And I love that in games. It's the reason why I like Apex Legends and Titanfall 2 so much. But yeah, I'll talk about that more later. But good things coming from me. That's also the first PS5 upres of a game that I've played, like a proper
Ooh, so that
PS5
must look
mode.
really fun.
Dude,
Ah,
it does. I can either play it in performance mode or graphics mode, and when I played God of War, when I played God of War 2018 on my PlayStation Pro, it also gives you those choices, and it definitely looks better when you do graphics. But I mean, the game looks so beautiful anyway. But it definitely was a little bit harder, even on a low lag monitor, to play uh, some of the tough fights on graphics mode. So on Control, you can switch back and forth, but honestly, I've kept it in graphics mode instead of performance mode, and it's been just fine. Like the game looks amazing and it responds great. Um, I never feel like it's the game's fault when I mess something up. Not really. I mean, I could say a couple things, but it's not like lag or anything else like that. It's really great. Um, I hope to play more games like that on my PS5, whether they're up reses or if that's just how the PS5 is going to look. I mean, I sure hope so. It wasn't easy to get, and you know, they're not cheap,
right.
but I like those. Anyway, the main game I've been playing was this past weekend's brunch special, which was what on. I got to be careful when I say last weekend because this comes out on a Monday, so it would have been on the 17th and 18th of April that I played Coffee Talk. Uh, Coffee Talk's cool, tough to stream. I think I've learned that like I like this game, but it's very to me this is a 2 a.m. video game rather than like even though it's called Coffee Talk and I love the whole idea I've pitched of the brunch special is like wake up, get your coffee and food, and we're gonna enjoy this chill game together. It is that, but as far as a streaming game, I'm reading a whole lot of dialogue for a whole stream. And the first time I did it, I didn't give myself very much time between waking up and my intended start time. And my throat was not prepared for 2 straight hours of talking. Um, I talk a lot, but when I got to do it like nonstop, it's tough. So I enjoy that game, but um, it's tough for me to stream. And I was thinking of also streaming Red Strings Heart Club, Red Strings Hearts Club,
Just Red Strings Club.
Red Strings Club. Thank you. uh, I planned on streaming that because I got it in a bundle with Coffee Talk, but I think I'm just gonna play that one on my own because it's more dialogue heavy. It's not voice acted as far as I know. Um, yeah, I think I've discovered that that's a part of streaming that I wasn't prepared for, and I don't think I will be. So, uh, I probably beat the first half of Coffee Talk. It's funny to even say that I beat the game because the game is just you brewing coffee occasionally and listening to the stories of these interesting people who frequent your nighttime coffee shop, which the characters bring up. They're like, is it profitable to run a coffee shop that's only open at night? And the answer is no. The answer is no. And they're like, yeah, I mean, look around. We don't have any customers. Because when you start the game, it's just you and like one person that you talk to. But it's
I mean,
nice.
that's a game that like you really enjoy most of that game after the fact anyway. So when you complete it, I'm sure you'll have plenty more to say. And take note that it came out at the beginning of last year,
It did.
right before stuff started happening,
So it came out in
and it's
January.
a lot more relevant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it came out in January 2020, but the date in the fictional world is September 2020. So after the release of the game, and it's talking about issues like people come in and they're talking about, well, they're like fantastical races, like there's an elf and an orc and a succubus and a werewolf and stuff like that, and they come in and they tell their stories, and some of it's a little bit more on the nose than I wish it was. Like some of it's just like, okay, well, I get what you're saying. I wish you just would have been a little more subtle about it, like little. Uh, but I get it. Um, but it's talking about stuff like immigration, racial tensions, things like the werewolf that you're talking to needs to find like a basically the werewolves have fury, which happens. I don't know if this was on purpose, but basically once a month, and they go into a rage unless they can get this like serum that the government sells. But it's wildly expensive, and sometimes it's unsafe, so people go to the black market to get that serum or to make their own. But then, like in the newspaper clippings that you read before each night, it'll say like, "Oh, a bunch of people were arrested for buying illegal Fury serums or whatever." So it's just got a bunch of interesting political things in it, and so the people who pass through usually have something to say about those things. It takes place in Seattle, which is appropriate because coffee. But yeah, it's always nighttime. It's always raining, and then you've got a bunch of very unique characters.
So as far as what I've been playing, last week I played a tiny bit of Rain on Your Parade right before the pod, and since then I completed it. It's such a fun game, and of course, as I always say, it's on Game Pass, so hey, check it out. Um, but Rain on Your Parade, we obviously did the demo way back. I talked about it last week, but uh, just for those of you that haven't, it's just one of those perfect indie titles to spend as little time as you want or as much time as you want. It's got somewhere around 50 levels during the main campaign of the game, and then you can of course replay those. There are a lot of high score levels. That's just you trying to get a better score than yourself. And there are a surprising number of fun achievements to go after if that's your thing. Some very specific achievements, and this is not ruining anything, but there's one level that just says "Don't move," and literally you can't touch anything on the controller. And there's an achievement that you get for getting something like I think it's an hour and a half or something like that. That would actually take effort for you to not play the game for an hour and a half. Like you actually would have to keep the controller on, but not accidentally move it at the same time. But
What does it leave your
suffice to
controller
say,
alone for like an hour?
yeah, yeah,
Really?
that's legit. One of the
Wow.
achievements is to do that, and I think it's actually more than an hour and a half. I'll have to check it out again.
Okay.
But
Are
it's like
things
100
happening
gamer
on screen?
score, so
Oh, so
yeah,
you're going for
nothing
it now.
nothing is happening on screen at all, and it's like the most empty level in the game.
Dude, at the
That
end of
sounds
So
like the way that you unlock Mewtwo in Super Smash Bros. Melee, where like you're supposed to get 10 hours of gameplay, but or I
hmm
think it's 10 hours, but really people just leave someone and like two controller player characters on Final Destination for like 10 hours,
Mm.
like not touching
exactly.
their GameCube and then blood out.
Yeah, we did
But
Yeah,
it.
which was a lot easier when we all had wired controllers.
Yeah.
yeah.
But Rain on Your Parade is a hell of a good time for kids and adults. Either way, it actually rides the line perfectly on that. Uh, if you're somebody that likes to play a lot of different game styles, that's another reason to hit up Rain on Your Parade. I think I mentioned last time that it's got a level that's based on Metal Gear Solid. It's got a little tower defense sort of Plants vs Zombies level towards the end of the game. It's really funny. It's got some slight bullet hell kind of sections. Um, just a very interesting game. Very indie developer that put so much heart into telling a very basic story uh, with as little fluff as possible. Um, it's just a super pleasing game, and a lot of people are talking about it this week, and I'm really glad to see that. The developer actually mentioned today that they had 150,000 downloads on Game Pass in the
Oh
first week.
wow.
And so that's awesome. I still don't know exactly what that means financially for them, but I would say that's the way that they were talking about it, it's a success, and that may lead to, future titles for them. So
Cool.
really looking forward to hearing more from the developer on that, Unbound Creations. The second thing that I've played this week is Later Alligator. It's one of the most adorable games I've played all year, like right next to Rain on Your Parade, honestly. Later Alligator is a point and click narrative game. It's the best way to describe it is just a point and click animated show almost. The art style is created by Small Boo Animation, who you might know for Batman Piderman, or like a
Yay!
number of Nickelodeon or Adult Swim shows. Like they've done a whole lot of animated shows.
I come over the house with friends.
Yeah, if you're not familiar, please check out Batman Piderman. It's
Okay, Batman
no
Piderman?
Batman.
Batman, Spider-Man. There's no
Okay.
T or S.
Yeah.
Batman, Spider-Man.
And Small Boo Animation is the name of the animators, and
Oh
it's a
no.
couple that does all this work. Um, they obviously they didn't do the entire game, but the animation is such a core piece of the game that it's worth mentioning. I think it's the first time they branched out to this much of an experience because I think Later Alligator is somewhere around 4 to 5 hours. I put about half that in already, and the game is technically about this young alligator who's kind of neurotic, uh, and the whole story is based around this family of alligators that is kind of it's weird how it brings it to you, but you're in this city of alligators, and this family is kind of a mafia of alligators, and it just throws you right into that. It's like this young alligator, it's his birthday today, and there's some event that's happening that everybody, all the other alligators are privy to, but he's not. And for some reason, he thinks he's just going to straight up get murdered at this event today.
Oh my god.
And so you have to find all these other alligators. They're all members of his family, close or far off, and they basically from the first one, you're like, you're not gonna die, dude. Like, what's your problem? But it's a really funny game. The writing is great. And you basically, the point and click sections are you talking to different family members, getting some detective work in, trying to figure out what this event is, what's going to happen to him. And then after you get that information from them, you play a little mini game. And uh, so far, it's already referenced the like Flappy Bird,
Mhm.
and it's gone back and forth. There's like a card game that I've played so far. There was a crane game, so getting a toy out of a crane game. All these little things that you do as mini games in this point and click style is super fun, extremely cute, and really funny. I can't wait to finish this game and talk a little bit more about it. Probably end up doing a review for it, but
I'm watching this
uh,
trailer with the sound off, and it looks
yeah,
funny already. Yeah, I can
yeah.
easily see why you like this.
Yeah, the animation style plus the light jazzy music that's going on behind it is just a perfect combination. It's like if you really felt like literally jazzed up, go play Genesis Noir or later Alligator, and you'll get both sides of the coin. It's a very fun experience so far, and it's not really a game that I'm used to seeing. So it's a very refreshing on the Switch. And I think it's PC and Switch only right now. So
It's definitely
yeah.
on Steam, I can tell you that.
Yeah. But that's really all I've been playing besides the Pac-Man 99 every once in a while and getting extremely frustrated because
That game is
that's the
so
way that
colorful for
goes.
no reason. So colorful.
Yeah. So Devi, what have you been playing?
Well, actually, I just beat. Well, I guess I did just beat this game. But it was actually Bowser who had started playing it. But it's called The World Next Door, and it is like an indie game that is developed by Rose City Studios. But it was published by Viz Media. I know them for anime. I don't know what else they do. But it's about this girl named June, and how Earth is parallel to another dimension called Emrys. And Earth is like normal Earth, but Emrys is like a magical, more fantastical version of Earth. And so, instead of high school, they have like an academy, and instead of humans, they have spirits and sirens and demons and harpies and drakes and things like that. But everyone is human shape. So the drake is just like the purple human with like wings and horns or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So June, she is this girl who was chosen by lottery to travel to Emrys via a portal, and it's like a whole festival. It's like a whole thing. This happens like once every generation, so it's like the chance of a lifetime, basically. And she won to go, and so she ends up getting stuck there. And humans cannot live in Emran atmosphere, just because because plot, obviously, but I guess magic is inherently toxic to humans, so they can't stay there for a very long time, which is why they only do it like once every generation or whatever. And so she gets trapped there because her Emran friend Liza, who is like a demon who looks like a succubus, but they don't say she's a succubus, but she looks like one. But her friend Liza takes her to like an ancient shrine, which is forbidden by Emran government, like to use magic in. And also humans haven't stepped foot there in like a century or whatever. And so she's like, a human's never got to see this before. I want to show you this thing. So they do that. They stay too long and the portal closes and June has to get back, before she goes kaput. And so the story of the game is just basically June and her friends, who are just an eclectic assortment of people, trying to get her back. And it's pretty straightforward that way. But what's really endearing to me is the gameplay. It's very puzzle oriented. So it's like a match 3 game. And you can move the runes on the ground by picking them up and placing them. And the more runes you match up, the stronger your spells are. And you're exploring all the shrines and stuff, trying to find the keys to get back home or whatever. But it was really fun. The gameplay was so satisfying. The enemies were kind of frustrating sometimes. Just the regular enemies. The boss battles were actually nothing really to talk home about. But I got really invested in the character, like almost immediately. They were so fun. The downside is not to discourage anyone from playing the game, because I think it really is a fun game, and it's like only 2-3 hours, something like that. But the downside is the story is good, but it leaves you wanting more. I didn't really feel like the denouement answered a lot of questions. And I don't know if that was just to like leave it open for a possibility of a sequel or whatever, or not, but there are a few drop balls that left a sour taste. So I do recommend playing the game. It was fun. Just like to take a break away from the normal stuff I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
A nice little breath of indie air. And yeah, check it out.
That's like 50-50 visual novel and gameplay, isn't it?
Yeah. And so when Thomas was talking about Coffee Talk having that dialogue problem, that kind of sort of exists in The World Next Door, except you do say full sentences. It's not like I was walking down the street and then
Coffee Talk's not actually that bad, but I mean, I wouldn't be upset if there was a run-on sentence or two, you know.